so I'm going straight after your audio.
So this is the...
Yeah. Perfect. So I'm going to sit down for a bit, and then I don't really need to do anything until...
Well, welcome everyone. Good evening. Thank you for coming. This is the first Save Big Splash community meeting. My name's Greg Kimball. I'll be your MC this evening. I'm a Canberra local, Belconnen native, and I grew up on the slides at Big Splash and have very fond memories, as all of us do. Indeed, that's why we're all here. So thank you very much, all of you, for coming. It's a real buzz and a real thrill for all of us who have been involved in the Save Big Splash campaign, that so many of you have come out and shown us your support. So we thank you for that. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the dignitaries that we have in the room. We've got Yvette Berry, the Deputy Chief Minister of the ACT Government. So thank you. She's also Minister for Sport and Recreation. We have Joe Clay, Greens member for the Ginninderra region, I think, and Peter Cain, Liberal MLA for Ginninderra also. And Senator David Pocock, thank you for your time, and members of other volunteer groups and industry representatives, and all of you again, thank you so much for coming along. I would also like to acknowledge the lands on which we meet today, the lands of the Ngunnawal people, and also those joining us via the live stream in the lands on which you're joining us from today. It's a long known fact that First Nations people have a very, very important connection to water for their lifeblood, for cooking and cleaning and recreation. And it's in the spirit of that connection to water that we meet today and talk about this issue. I would also like to say that we come in the spirit of positivity today. I would really like this meeting to be a sharing of information, a listening exercise. We're here to actually, talk to each other and listen to each other. So please, when you get the opportunity to speak in the crowd, which you will, please do it in that spirit. We're here to have a conversation. So please bear that in mind. Otherwise, Senator Pocock will have to spear tackle you. Thank you very much. There's also a quiz on the table that you might have noticed. There's just some fun facts about Big Splash. Feel free to have a look at those, try and answer the questions, and later on we'll come around and give you the answers, and you can see, I don't know, did we arrange a prize in the end? No, there's no prize, there's just pride. That's what you get. So we'll come back to that later on. But we're going to introduce your first speaker for this evening, and this is a remarkable young woman, ladies and gentlemen. I personally saw one of the stories in the Canberra Times. I wrote a Substack article about this morning, which a record 7 people read, that just said, I saw this story and I saw this young woman who was standing up for something that she believed in. And for someone to have that kind of courage, I just thought, as a 46-year-old bloke, I should probably be doing something similar. So she's the reason that I got involved. Amelia Tattam and her friends, Amelia Condon-Cernovs and Isla Robertson, who's in the room here. So a quick round of applause, please, for these guys. And so we're going to hear from Amelia, and then we are going to have the chance to hear from the other dignitaries. So please, welcome to the stage, the lectern, Amelia Tattam.
Thank you so much, Greg. Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for taking the time to attend this meeting tonight. My name is Amelia Tattam, and I'm one of the organisers of the Save Big Splash campaign. I would first off like to start by acknowledging the other speakers and representatives joining us tonight. We have Minister Yvette Berry, Senator David Pocock, MLA Peter Cain, and Joe Clay. I would also like to point out that this is Joe's second petition supporting the future of Big Splash. Her encouragement and willingness to stand alongside the community has been instrumental. Thank you all so much for backing this cause and to helping amplify our voices. To the other members of the Save Big Splash group, including Greg, Isla, Amelia C., Penny, and Mark. To the representatives of Friends of Marnica Pool, Save Phillip Pool, and Friends of Canberra Olympic Pool. To the Aranda Residents Group, Belconnen Community Council, Friends of Hawker Village, and ACT Coalition of Aquatic Pool Users. Thank you all so much for your unwavering support. It truly has been invaluable. We started this campaign because Big Splash represents something much bigger than just a water park. It represents a community space that sociologists refer to as a third space. This is somewhere that isn't your work or school, it's not your home, but instead it's somewhere that people can gather, connect, and belong. Over the past few weeks, we have interacted with hundreds of people at shopping centres, online, at community meetings, and through everyday conversations. And what has truly struck me most is the amount of passion and dedication that people have towards Big Splash. When you mention it, people light up. They'll tell you stories about birthday parties, school swimming carnivals, food, fond memories with family, their first job as a lifeguard, long summer afternoons spent on the grass. For so many Canberrans, Big Splash is woven into their childhood memories. So when people talk about wanting to save Big Splash, they aren't just talking about wanting to relive those memories, but they're fighting for a future for the site. They want this community facility for their children. They want a safe, accessible, outdoor aquatic space in Belconnen. They want somewhere affordable, somewhere local, somewhere that strengthens community. Public pools are essential infrastructure. Canberra summers are getting hotter, and outdoor aquatic spaces provide heat relief, promote both physical and mental health, and support swimming safety. In Australia, water confidence and drowning prevention are critical. Facilities like Big Splash play a very important role in that. Our petition is live through the ACT Legislative Assembly, and I strongly encourage everybody to sign it and share it if you haven't already. Petitions really matter. They formally place this issue before the government and show that this is genuinely a community priority. Our campaign has grown so quickly because it belongs to the community. It belongs to the families who want somewhere safe for their children to swim. It belongs to the young people who grew up here. It belongs to me, and it belongs to every one of you. Big Splash has always been about community, so let's make sure that it has a future. Thank you.
Impressive, right? Thank you, Amelia, that was great. And look, I might add that the petition we've been running has more than 4,500 signatures, as Amelia mentioned, and it is actually the fastest petition to have actually reached that mark in ACT government history. So it's incredible, and it shows the community support and impact that, that this issue has. So without further ado, we are going to welcome Yvette Berry to the stage, who's going to tell us when Big Splash is going to open up again.
Thanks very much, Greg. No pressure at all. If only I had that magical power. Wow. Well, hello everyone, and thanks very much for having me here today. For those of you who I don't know or haven't met you yet, my name's Yvette Berry. I'm the Labor member for Ginninderra, and Tara Cain, who's the other Labor member for Ginninderra, is here as well. She's noticeable by the colour of her hair, as always. I just want to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land, the Ngunnawal people, and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, acknowledge the significant contribution they make to the life of this city and this region, and acknowledge and welcome any other Aboriginal people who are here with us today. What a great turnout for this important meeting, and I know there's a bunch more online. It's so exciting to be part of this fantastic campaign. And thank you, and again, congratulations, Amelia, and to all of the Save Big Splash team. I had the pleasure of working with Amelia on a previous campaign for free period products in public schools, which again was successful, and so I'm really happy to be working with her again on the Big Splash campaign. Now, like many of you here, I grew up in Belconnen, in West Belconnen, and I have the best memories growing up in this part of our hood. I learned to swim at Kippax Swim Centre, which doesn't exist anymore, and I know that's a real fear for what might happen to Big Splash. As a teenager, I too spent a lot of time at Big Splash, and Amelia and I were sharing some memories, and despite the age difference, very similar memories of scorching ourselves on the hot concrete before jumping back in the pool. I've had date nights at movie night. Dino, if you're here, I'm still pining for you. My kids grew up with Big Splash too, and as you would imagine, I've been copping a bit of heat from from them as well about the closure of Big Splash. So I just wanted to let you know that I'm as committed as all of you to bringing Big Splash back to how we remember it, and also even better. Like all of us, Big Splash is a big part of the vibe of where I grew up, where we all grew up, and I know that we all want to see it alive for future generations. Now, I know that you all know that there's currently a regulatory action process being taken by Access Canberra on behalf of the Independent Planning Authority. You may also know that on Friday, the 30th of January, Access Canberra notified the owner that they were considering terminating the Crown lease. Then, under the law, the owner has 15 days to respond, which ends, as you all will know, is tomorrow on Friday. Now, the proponent also has the right to either respond or comply with the proposed regulatory action. And even though all of us are really angry with the owners, they still have the right to due process. Under the law, the owner is also entitled to ask for an extension of 15 days, but I haven't heard that that's happened yet. I guess we'll find out by the end of tomorrow. The Independent Planning Authority will then consider the owner's response over the coming days and weeks. So there won't be a decision tomorrow, and I know that's disappointing for everybody. It is for me too, and I know Tara feels the same way. But this is the first time that the Independent Planning Authority is using these new powers given to it under the 2023 Planning Act. These powers have never been used before in this way. The Planning Authority is acting on legal advice, which is appropriate every single step of the way, being very careful and considered with its approach. The process might seem long and frustrating, I agree, but it's important that they make sure that they get it right, because none of us want to see further delays through potential litigations. So it's important to be careful in this approach. Now, the government has always been interested in continuing to bring the Big Splash operator into compliance with the legislation. I mean, let's be fair here. They shouldn't be allowed to get off the hook under this new power. One of the regulator's options is to terminate the lease, as you know, and this is a really serious power. It's an action, as I said, that's never been done before. This case genuinely is a landmark moment in the ACT, which is also why this campaign is so important as well. In the meantime, the government will consider all options to get a Big Splash back. Nothing is off the table. I've had great conversations with the Sarris about their ideas. It was almost like a family reunion at some points, and what could be a common sense approach on a way forward. It's actually a really exciting time for us. So I'm so happy that all of us together are on a unity ticket and we're on the same path. It's amazing. This is unique. You may have heard also that I'm working on a new aquatic strategy for Canberra. The strategy will provide a clear direction for a new aquatic investment, priorities across the city. It's timely as well. This includes a new 50-metre outdoor pool in Woden, and I acknowledge Fiona Carrick and her gang for the work that they've done in calling for this as well. The strategy will also explore needs for new pools in growth areas like West Belconnen. When Kipax left 30 years ago, there's been a massive gap there in pool provision for Canberrans, particularly those in West Belconnen. Diving facilities are absolutely part of that work, as well as urban swimmers, who I know were disappointed in the first instance that they weren't included. So we've heard their voices and they'll be included as well. I also spent a lot of time swimming up here in Lake G, so I know how important those urban spaces are. And also what we need to do to keep all of our existing pools in great shape. The strategy is going to be developed over the next 12 months, and I'll be hearing from pool users, sports, as well as folks in the community, especially young people. After all, it's their future that we're building. So stay tuned. You'll all have an opportunity to contribute to that work. And I hope I haven't gone past my 6 minutes, but that is my little speech for tonight.
Thank you very much, Minister Berry. It is a big thing to turn up in front of a crowd that is essentially looking for something from you. So we thank you for the effort that you've made tonight. And Yvette made a really good point about the other pools and the other aquatic centres around Canberra. And we've actually worked really closely with the Friends of Manuka Pool and Civic Pool proponents, and we're all in this together. We're all actually after better facilities for all Canberrans around the Territory. And they're even worn their Save Phillip Pool T-shirts. We haven't quite graduated to T-shirts yet, but you guys have set the standard for that. So thank you, Yvette, and I'm going to welcome to the lectern Joe Clay.
Thank you. I think the goal is to get the pool back before we have to print the T-shirts. Darwa Nuna, Darwa Nunual. Darwa Nuna, Darwa Nunual, Yanguna Lariri, Dunamanyan, Nunawawari, Duwarawari, Nyingadadindi, Wangarali Jinyan. I like a lot of people, I also grew up in Belconnen, so I've got the fond memories of the old movie theatre and the school carnivals with the little triangle juice boxes and the whole thing. My daughter's 11, so she got to go there, and now she can't. And, you know, Belconnen's had a couple of summers now, but it's actually not just Belconnen. I think what we're finding is that these pools serve a much bigger catchment, and Big Splash, of course, is different from the other pools. It's a water park, and we don't have one of those here in Canberra. So we're at a bit of a moment here in Canberra and all around Australia. What we're seeing all around the country is all of the pools are ageing out. The Royal Lifesaving Community did a study and said that Australia is looking to about $8 billion worth of investment to just preserve our pools. And we're seeing that play out here in the ACT, and I think that's why we're seeing such incredibly strong community actions looking ahead, saying, do we actually want to live in a hotter world that has no public pools, or do we actually think this is something that matters and that we need to keep these, preserve these, maybe have more of them all around our suburbs? And that's clearly where we're at the moment. I have had a great time working with the community on this one. I've done a couple of petitions. The first was with Danny Hunterford and the second with Amelia, and we've had incredible responses to those. I put a motion up into Parliament to make sure that the site wouldn't get rezoned for housing, because I think a lot of people were a bit suspicious about the site being closed multiple years running and wondering if that was the goal. So it can't get rezoned for housing, but it can still be used for something other than a pool and a water park. That's why we still need this movement to go ahead. We are now, Yvette's done a great job. Thank you for laying out the regulatory action. It is really good to see that ACT government started on this. We have been calling on them to take these steps for about a year now, so it's really, really good that this pathway has commenced, and it'll be really good to see what happens next. I've brought along tonight, we've been running surveys and getting comments on socials, and we've put together what the community's told us in a listening report, and we might have that up. Yeah, good on you. I can't see it. It's up there. I thought I've got these copies, and I'll hand them around to the room on the tables after this, but we thought we'd just sort of run through. It's amazingly consistent what the community's saying. We got 102 submissions and comments just in a short space of time, and we've had 4,500 signatures on a petition in a few weeks. Like, there's an immense number of people who are commenting on this. Everyone who's been involved said they would visit Big Splash if it was open again for summer, and pretty much everybody wants a pool and a water park. We asked a few questions because there are lots of different ideas for what should be on that site. It's really, really consistent what people want there. 98% of survey respondents also want government action, and I think that's tapping into a longer term thing where people are tired of seeing lease squatting and sites that are left unused. So I think it's actually really good that we're seeing some strong government action. We need to make sure that we get to the end there. And I think if you go to the next slide, we might be getting up to what people want. Everybody wants pools there, and I'm really interested in, when we look at other councils and other states, what they can do with their pools for a pretty good value spend. And just about everybody wants a water park. And I think when you actually ask people, what is it about Big Splash? This is the water park. This is the only water park Canberra has. This is one of the few places we have that's really great for older kids, teens, as a hangout space. There aren't many of these spaces. And in a time of climate change, to have a green space where you can cool off and hang out, that is really, really important, right? Like, if we don't speak up and make sure we keep that, we're not going to have it at all. And we might flick over to another one. We also asked people, and we just did an open question, what sort of action do you think government should take? And we didn't feed any answers in there, so this is just what people offered. There's a really big range of views here, but I think, generally speaking, the one consistency in that is that the vast majority of people do want government to take a role in this. They don't think decisions like this should just be left to the market and left for year on year. Like, it is really important that government does take a lead in that. And I think I'm always reflecting on how different pools have come about in Canberra. We've seen SISAC got $10 million worth of funding. We got a Southside hydrotherapy pool, really glad we're getting that. That was $8.5 million worth of funding. We've got 7 pools that get about $6 million recurrent funding. I don't have any fixed views. I actually think it's really important that government does the work that it's doing now and that we listen to the community, but I also think it's important that we remember these things may not happen private sector alone. I think there's lots of ways forward. It could be a new private sector operator comes in. It could be that there is a role for government. It could be some combination of that. I think the clear thing is the community wants Big Splash reopened, and the community definitely wants a water park there, not just a pool, and the community definitely wants an outdoor pool and outdoor recreation space there. I think when you actually just ask people what they want, that's so universal. I've probably been speaking for long enough, do you reckon? Yeah, that'll do me. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And we have one more speaker before we give you all a chance to ask some questions. So please welcome to the lectern, Peter Cain.
No, thank you. And look, I'm going to start my own timer because I'm a little bit OCD with such things. Look, it's a delight to be here, and I certainly want to acknowledge as well that we meet on the land of the Ngunnawal people. I acknowledge my Assembly colleagues, Chukka Barry, Fiona Carrick, Tara Chain, of course, Yvette and Joe, and Senator David Pocock. And look, I do want to give a special shout out and thanks to Amelia T, Amelia CC and Isla, who I met this evening. And look, let's give them a round of applause. And very quickly, one of the things that encouraged me most in my relatively short parliamentary career is how much volunteer work is done by our community. And to see older teenagers, young adults stepping up into that space in such an amazing way is a real encouragement to me, and I want to thank the 3 of them. And I'm so sorry Amelia CC's not here because she's a work experience alumni from my office. I could have had the award to give her for that, but she's not here to receive it. So please take everything I say as Peter Cain, Canberra Liberal member for Ginninderra, as my view. So I just want to make that very clear. Nothing I'm saying has been endorsed as official Canberra Liberal policy. I just want to put that out there. But what I can tell you, if I was walking into our party room tomorrow morning, I would say the following. Firstly, with a growing population in our city, particularly in Belconnen, with the expansion of our town centre, the densification, growth in West Belconnen, we don't need fewer recreational and green spaces, we actually need more. We don't need to see them lost, and that's actually happening under the government's eyes. We don't need to see these recreational and sporting precincts in our city lost. We actually need them not just maintained, but added to and enhanced. That's what a growing population in the capital of this wonderful country deserves. And that's my commitment certainly for Belconnen. And I will, as an aside, since Philip Poole's got a shout out, please sign the petition to get something done similar to the Hawker Tennis Centre. It's a live petition on the Assembly website. And I am disappointed. I'm waiting for the government response on expanding Margaret Timpson Park in the Belconnen Town Centre in a growing and densifying town centre. So, Big Splash, my wife and I have 7 children. I believe all of them went to Big Splash and our grandchildren. And look, it's such a unique feature, not just in Belconnen, but for our whole region. And it deserves preservation. It deserves being kept and maintained and even enhanced. And, you know, it's been, all of the big themes have been touched on. Look, I want to thank Yvette for being here. It is a brave thing for the government to turn up on something that's looks like, I have to admit, looks like a failure of oversight. That's what I think, personally. And look, I know there's no magical powers available, but there are plenty of powers. And Yvette, I thank you for outlining what the steps are in the process going forward. And we'll all be keeping an eye on that. But a centre like Big Splash is unique, as has been touched on, and again, I think the owners leaving it to go derelict for so long, they need to be sort of put on notice. They have been. These new powers, it'll be interesting to see how they play out. We've obviously got things like estimates coming up. We'll be exploring, I'm sure the opposition and the crossbench will be exploring what happens from now, because we're hearing some firm action has been taken. We'll see how firm that is. But my commitment is to say to my party room if I was walking in tomorrow, and to you all here now, our community deserves recreational and sporting opportunities like Big Splash, particularly given its uniqueness. And look, I don't know, you go to any swimming champion in our nation, Australia is a pretty remarkable achiever in that sporting activity. They all started in a splash pool or a toddler pool or a water slide. They all got to be comfortable being in water, let alone whether you're trying to dodge sharks in the surf, you know, it's another thing. But being comfortable in water is such an important trait to give to our children as early as possible, because it creates up a whole world of pleasurable activity, let alone the skill that gets recognised and applauded on international arenas with sporting competitions and other things. So, look, I could talk a bit longer, but I know we're going to do some Q&As. We've got some other really important speakers. It was great to catch up with Aquatots. I mean, we've met with them. The Liberals have met with them. I mean, some of the options available, the petition calls on one particular action, but I think, you know, some options should include, in the government's consideration, a public-private partnership. You know, the government does that on other big infrastructure activities in the territory. What about some assistance to the private owners? Because there is an overall benefit that's not just about, well, they owe tax just like everyone else. There is a community benefit that comes from such places as Big Splash. That's my time. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Yvette, Joe and Peter, for your time in coming tonight and for speaking to us tonight. Now, Save Big Splash, the platform that we have spoken on, see, I'm getting all political now. We have 5 key things that we've been asking for and talking about really clearly, and it's not often that you get the Territory's 3 critical politicians in the same room. So we're going to put you on the spot a little bit here. There are 5 things, and we just want a yes or no whether you support these. Those 5 things are a 50-metre outdoor public swimming pool, open lawn areas, family-friendly water slides, compatible community facilities, and to terminate the lease. Now, very quickly, I'm going to go through each one. Yes or no, Yvette Berry?
Well, it depends, like, because we could,
Okay, so that's a depends.
we could acquire it.
Yes.
Yes.
4 yeses and discuss the last one.
All right, 4 yeses and a something else. I'm not sure what that was, but okay. No, I'm sorry, we put you on the spot. It was a bit of fun. We just thought we'd include that in there. But it is time for you guys to say a few things. So you will have noticed that there's a bunch of hands shooting up already. There are some young people around who are carrying around microphones. Oh, and we've got a very small person who's... Yeah, absolutely. There's a microphone. Is she going to share a KFC with everyone?
Hi, I'll just stand in front of people so I don't... Yeah. My name's Fiona and I worked at Big Splash from 1995 to 2012. And of the people thanked today, I would like to thank the Watkins family, who Troy is over there representing the Watkins family. I was very fond of his mother, who worked there for a long time, and she's now gone, so just wanted to acknowledge that. And most importantly, and I think this is the answer for Big Splash, and I've been annoying everybody with my emails, sorry Tara and Yvette, and you got one today, David, about how to save Big Splash. And as somebody that worked there, the slides are fine. And even if they're not, as Alena Sarri said, we just build new ones. Big Splash is fine as it is. It can operate it as it is. And Mr. Cain said the perfect solution, a government-private partnership. And the only people I think that can be in that private partnership is the Sarri family, who run Aquatots and who built the original water slides. We only have those water slides because of this family and then the Watkins family, who continued to run it for many years. They built the original, which we're also thankful for. The Watkins family built the new slides. We had the dive-in cinemas. They were all great. And for those of you that, you're being great, Matilda, thank you. And for those of you that don't know, the Sarri family actually built the exact same water park in Townsville. Willows Water World. And it's a freaky to Google it and see the exact same water park in Townsville, slightly different colour, slightly different pool area. But the people of Townsville for decades didn't get another water park. And all the Facebook posts and the media were always like, oh, I wish we'd kept it, we wish something had happened. So let's save Big Splash. I believe if the Liberal Party, the Labor Party and the Greens, and we must thank Jo for all the work she has done over time, that's been very important, work together. And my personal opinion, you terminate the lease, you get the keys, and you drop them in the Sarri family's hand and say, good luck, let's help you.
See, it's that easy. That's all we need to do.
Yep.
Fiona, thank you so much. That was really great. Thank you. Next question. We got someone down the front here.
Thank you. This is a question for Minister Berry. Hello, I'm Wendy. Bouncing off the last two speakers, I'm wondering if the government does retain the lease moving forward, what is your vision? Is it for publicly run, privately run, some sort of combo? And then what sort of time frame are we looking at?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you take that one.
Okay, I'll get up. Well, look, the government doesn't make the decision about whether the lease is taken back or cancelled or not. That's done by the regulatory authority. But if that does happen, well, there's a couple of things that could happen. The lease could be taken off the current proponents, or they could somehow, by some magical reason, the regulatory authority could say, actually, you can keep the pool, and they decide to sell it. So there are a bunch of options. We're just not at that point yet to make a decision, but nothing is off the table. I've spoken with the Sarris. I know that there's a deep community wish for the pool to be opened, and I don't think people really care how, as long as it's done and that the community's listened to. And so that's the message that the government's heard. And yeah, all options are on the table from my perspective.
I might just add a little tag onto that, if I could, Yvette. What's your level of confidence that Big Splash will be something that we'll see again?
Well, I have to be confident because there's no other option, right? So I think when you look around the room and you see that the community support for this is massive and growing, there is no other option. So I am optimistic that something good will come from this. We just have to be patient until we get to that point.
Thank you. Someone else from the crowd? We've got a bunch of the Save Phillip Pool people. Microphones are swarming.
Hello, Maria Green from, I actually live over the south side, but I love Big Splash, and my grandson particularly loved it the last time it was open. My question is, can we focus the minds of the current owners to want to give up the lease by doing more regulatory stuff? They've been told they can't build housing. Is there something else that can be done in the Assembly to make it very unattractive for them to keep the lease?
I've got a feeling most of these are going to be for you, Yvette, but if Jo or Peter want to add anything, feel free.
Well, I think the big thing that is happening now. And like I said, that is the first time that the regulator is enacting that power, and it's a significant power to take the lease back off an organisation. So that's the big action that's being taken now. It's just going to take some time to dot the I's and T's, make sure we go through all the legal processes, because we don't want to spend, the next 5 years in court defending our decision. And that's why they're taking the time to get it right. And this will be a test for us. Like, it's genuinely, as I said, it is the first time we've done it, and it's important we get it right. So let's get the test right, because there are other places and spaces that we might need to take this action on, and getting it right this time will make a difference to them.
Thank you. It is great to see governments taking some action. We've been on this journey, the Greens, with the community for about 18 months now. We kept asking, so you could issue fines. Have you issued fines? And the answer came back, no, we haven't issued fines. And so you can take other enforcement action. You can require make good. You can require this. At one point, I think Access Canberra had put up some fence and done some work, fencing and done some work around there. And we said, so have you charged the owners for that? No, we didn't pass on the costs. So I think there actually is a long regulatory pathway before termination of lease, where if somebody is sitting on a lease that they are clearly not able, or that they're not able to operate that in a really good way, that there is lots of action. We are now at the point, it is great to see government is stepping in and taking some action. We found Access Canberra is stepping in and taking some action. We found out recently that there are 7 sites. Richo Shops was another one that the Greens were helping the community with a campaign about Big Splash. There's 5 other sites. I've asked, what are the 5 other sites? We're hoping one of them's Hawker. Peter, we've been asking the same questions about Hawker for a while too, and I think Canberra is probably tired of seeing these sites lapse. We've had this power since 2023. We actually want people to get these sites back.
So in terms of what the Assembly can do, which is what you're saying, I mean, obviously the Assembly is where laws are made, where regulations are passed, and as has been touched on, there are powers that are real and available to actually resume the lease, or to put some sort of pressure on the owner, whether it's a fine or other action, to say, do the job, use it or lose it, right? Those sort of powers are there now. And personally, again, just me, Peter Cain, MLA for Ginninderra, I don't mind that approach either if we've tried all the other options. So yes, the Assembly can do something, and as Yvette has described, if the current process isn't not adequate, then it is on the Assembly to come up with laws and regulations to say, okay, we need to prevent this failure happening again, if that's where it goes, and I hope it doesn't. We need to do something, as 25 MLAs, a majority of those can do something to say, we want to prevent this happening again, or we want to make sure it doesn't get to such a state as we've reached now with, 3 summers? And also, I think there are 7 sites in the Territory that are facing similar scrutiny, and of course Hawker Tennis Centre is one of them.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the first question and answer session. There will be another one, and so we will ask our next 3 speakers to hop up. We can do a bit of a shuffling of seats. So while they're doing it, please thank Yvette Berry, Joe Clay and Peter Cain for their time. And we do have these keynote speakers joining us today, and we are looking forward to hearing it. But this is really a youth issue. It's a very important youth issue. And we've got a couple of mystery speakers who weren't on the agenda. They weren't in any of the promotion. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Joel and Estelle, who are going to tell us what Big Splash means to Canberra's youth. So welcome, Joel and Estelle. Round of applause, please. So this is a really big thing for young people to come and stand up on a stage in front of 200 people that's live streamed. So guys, thank you. Don't be too freaked out. You're going to do a great job. There's only the world's internet watching, so that's okay. You guys are great. You're going to smash it. So first, Joel, can you tell me what does Big Splash mean to you?
If I had to summarise it, I would say it's a place for you to connect with other people, with your friends and your family. It's an area to have a community and bond with people that you know and people that you love.
Perfect, thank you. What about you, Estelle?
So I pretty much agree with what Joel said. Just spending time with people that you love, cooling off, and yeah.
Estelle, can you think of a memory, a favourite memory, or just any memory from Big Splash that really sticks in your mind?
eating the chips, going on the slides, swimming in the pool. I mean, all of it.
What about you, Joel? Any memories stick out?
My first week of year 7 is we had the swimming carnival. So going there and getting to have this shared experience with all of my new classmates, that was a lot of fun. And I think that's probably my highlight of Big Splash.
And why do you think Big Splash matters to young people, Joel?
For a lot of young people, it's important to get out and be active, and especially in summer when it's really hot, having a water park, the only water park in Canberra, is really important for people to go out there and have fun and be outside.
Great answer. And Estelle, have you got anything to add to that?
Keeps us off our devices, which I know is the main thing.
And that's coming from a teenager.
Yeah. And it feels really good, like to actually do something productive.
So that's also a great answer. Thank you, Estelle. And let's be real. What would it mean if Big Splash were to stay closed to you, Estelle?
It would make me pretty sad, just walking by, and if it was buildings, the spot that holds a bunch of memories, and so I'd be pretty upset.
And what about you, Joel?
I would also be really sad. All the memories, just saying goodbye to those would it would be really sad, and knowing that nobody in the future will be able to have the same memories and grow up with those same experiences would be pretty heartbreaking.
You don't want to make these guys sad, do you? Okay, and listen, a couple more questions and then we'll get to our fantastic keynotes. Guys, if you could tell the ACT government one thing about Big Splash, and just a hint, they're here, what would it be? What would you say, Joel?
Keep it open. There's really only one thing to say. Everybody that I know, all of my friends, even my teachers have said, they love it, and they don't see a reason for it to close. So, yeah, keep it alive.
It's good to listen to your teachers, mate. That's very good. Estelle, what about you?
Just please hear everyone's voices, because we all love Big Splash so much and we don't want it to close.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Last question. If Big Splash opens, what's the first thing you're going to do, Joel?
Get all of my friends, find a hot day, and spend the whole day there.
Yeah, Estelle?
Probably buy a season pass and go every single day I can.
Joel and Estelle, ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause. Thank you, guys. For me, clearly it's going head first down the kamikaze slide. I don't know about you guys, but that's a must. We're going to move on to our next set of speakers, our keynote speakers, and we are very, very lucky and fortunate to have the ACT Senator for the ACT, David Pocock. Please welcome David Pocock.
Thank you, Greg. I think we should have a comedian host every community event like this. You're doing a great job. I also want to acknowledge the Minister and all the various MLAs here, as well as the Amelias and Isla for really kicking this off. Clearly in a town that is getting hotter, to have 3 or 4 different campaigns to either save pools or have aquatic facilities that are actually fit for purpose, I think it's a moment for all of us to sort of tune in and really push our government to have plans that square with what we want as communities. To really reframe what we hear about the costs of pools, the costs of this. This is an investment in our health, this is an investment in young people's social lives, and this is investment in our future. So I've heard a lot about Big Splash, about Civic Pool, about Phillip Pool, and a huge shout out to the Save Phillip Pool. Such a great result. It just shows what community pressure can do, and I think we're seeing that again with Big Splash. We're seeing that with the new aquatic facility in Commonwealth Park. When Canberrans actually get active and push governments, the government has to listen. So I guess as a federal representative, a lot of issues that get brought to me are a territory issue, but clearly there's federal money on the table. and looking at the last big bucket of money for swimming pools, I think it was about a $330 million fund, the ACT received 0 cents of that. And that's what needs to change. We've seen the Commonwealth step up and say that the new aquatic facility in Commonwealth Park will be 50-50 funded. I think with a lot of Canberrans, the concern I'm hearing is when they heard like for like, they thought it would be like for like. And now we're hearing that there won't be a dive pool. And so I think with all these facilities and the various campaigns that have to be run just to have facilities that we want and need, there clearly is a bit of a trust deficit here. And I guess hence the community's getting active. And so I really thank all the MLAs who've been pushing this in the Assembly, and would urge the Minister and the Labor government to really deliver for Canberrans. This is an investment in our future. And I'll certainly keep pushing from a federal angle, but just really want to acknowledge how much work goes into these campaigns. I've seen a bunch of people who volunteered in my campaign turning up here. This is really what politics can and should be about. So thanks very much for getting involved.
Thank you, Senator Pocock. And just to be clear, that was Senator Pocock speaking on behalf of Senator Pocock, David Pocock, the Independent, just as a little nod for that important context from Peter. We're going to hear from the Belconnen Community Council, so please welcome to the lectern Lachlan Butler.
Hello everyone. As you heard, I'm Lachlan Butler, the Chair of the Belconnen Community Council. For those that may not have heard of community councils, the Belconnen Community Council, we are a volunteer advocacy group that wants to see Belconnen be the best place to live, work, study and play. It's been fantastic to be a part of the Save Big Splash campaign, and as everyone's sort of given a shout out to, all the volunteers that have really pulled this event together. I think it's one of the things that I wanted to mention today is that I think a lot of people forget how big Belconnen is. 1 in 4 Canberrans live in Belconnen, and in the next 40 years, there'll be 75,000 more people that call Belconnen home. And there are 7 ACT public pools, soon to be 8. None of them are in Belconnen. And that's why it is absolutely fantastic to hear about the aquatic strategy, specifically looking at the aquatic facilities in West Belconnen. Now, one of the things that does come up a lot, particularly with the Big Splash campaign, is that Belconnen has SISAC and AIS. But we're here today because you can't guarantee how long private pools will last. SISAC, it's, to the best of our understanding, only has to operate to the mid-2030s, then it can be redeveloped, no rezoning required. Quite frequently, the AIS being relocated outside of Canberra, it comes up. It's not up at the moment, but it's not a certainty that the AIS will stay in Belconnen. And that, again, that's why we sort of need those public facilities. And honestly, developers will have a laugh if they can. When you look at the Cain indoor sports centre, when that was rezoned, it had a requirement for a minimum of 1,400 square metres of indoor recreation space. The DA they submitted said it had over 1,700 metres of indoor recreation space. But if you have a look at the floor plans, over 700 square metres of that is basement car parking. So if you take I don't consider basement car parking indoor recreation space. So in my mind, there's only just over 1,000 square metres of indoor recreation space there. Now, we'll have to see what the planning authority, how they react to that. The developer, they've got their legal advice, they're having a crack at it. Hopefully the outcomes-focused planning system will say that is a terrible outcome. But we really do need the government to step up and show the leadership here, because we honestly can't just leave it to the private sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Lachlan. Our last keynote speaker is from the Coalition of Aquatic Pool Users and Urban Swimmers, otherwise known as CUAPUS. Please welcome Caroline Luke Everard.
Good evening, and thank you for having me to speak. I'm a retired GP with a subspecialty in occupational and sports medicine, so exercise is a passion for me. Now that I'm retired, I'm president of Friends of Manuka Pool, and 18 months ago at our AGM we had some speakers from Friends of Commonwealth Olympic Pool and Save Phillip Pool to just tell us about their plight. It was after that that we discovered that maybe they wouldn't be in that situation if we had an ACT aquatic strategy. So I took it upon myself to contact as many aquatic sporting and community groups as I could to see whether they'd be up for lobbying the government to have an aquatic strategy. So we met with lots of MLAs, including Minister Berry. Turns out there was a partly done aquatic strategy back in 2013. Partly done as in barely done and just put on a shelf gathering dust. So I feel proud that once we formed our aquatic coalition of pool users and urban swimmers, that we have managed to lobby the government to actually do an aquatic strategy. Canberra does meet the overall benchmarks for pool access, but you can see that it's not that great. We're down the middle for the people per aquatic facility and a little bit away from the middle but towards the top for people per public facility. However, these numbers, again, never translated into maybe we should do something in Canberra and have an aquatic strategy. So, aquatic strategy means that different groups will have their different needs catered for, and as you can see, there's multiple groups that use pools. Saying, oh, it's just for swimmers is incorrect. Yes, swimming is a main area with Learn to Swim, child, adult, disability, migrants, but we have squad swimming for our future Olympians, we have school competitions, but we also need pools for our ageing population. We need rehab. More and more people are having knee and hip operations and they need rehab. We have aquarobics for the older generation as well, but not just for the elders. Everyone should be able to do aquarobics. Water sports, there's lots and lots of water sports that require pools, many of which need deep water pools, which is why it's important to have a diving pool in Canberra. What I'd like to really stress is that urban and wild swimming is an increasing use of our rivers and our lakes, and it's becoming very, very popular. I don't think I need to tell most of you what the health benefits are of swimming and water activities. They're all listed here. This is not an exhaustive list, of course. But what I'd like to say to the government is it's not just about health and well-being. It's about the financial benefits of regular low-impact exercise, looking at the reducing the risk of chronic diseases like diabetes and cardiovascular disease. That leads to fewer and less costly visits. Okay? You can also go to a pool and not have to join a gym, which is much more costly. The aquatic industry also employs thousands of people, including lifeguards, instructors and maintenance personnel. Royal Lifesaving Australia reports from 2021 the economic health benefit of $2.8 billion, health benefit of $2.5 billion, and social benefit of $3.8 billion. Huge saving compared to the cost of pools being built. Whilst the coalition is very happy to hear that they're going to produce an aquatic strategy, we are still concerned that a consultant may be the only person that's really driving the strategy. We do and have asked in a letter recently for the government to consider a co-design. This means that all aquatic users and urban swimmers are involved from the grassroots to look at everybody's needs and not just what a consultant thinks a few groups might need. We're the experts. Doesn't matter whether you're a diver, you just visit a pool occasionally, you lap swim, you do underwater rugby, you swim in the lake. Whatever it is, everyone has their needs which needs to be heard. I don't feel that we can compromise here because we are an ageing population, we are a growing population, and we need to keep fit. So what I'm hoping for is that with meetings with Minister Berry and other MLAs, we can co-design for flexibility when we're upgrading existing facilities and building new ones. I want to plan for local location and the size of facilities concurrent with planning new land releases and urban infill. The more specialised a facility, the more access needs to be considered, and I believe that if we have a co-design, we can all be happy with the results. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Caroline and David and Lachlan, for your time. Now, we are running a little bit behind time, but we've probably got time for a couple of quick questions from the audience. We've got one at the back here. We've got another one down the front here, so whoever gets there first. Microphones are moving their way around. Here we go.
Am I on? Yep. Hi. First of all, I'll introduce myself. My name's Dave Connor. I'm actually a secondary teacher, and I'd like to say that that particular facility is so important to our kids. Not just a day off for the teachers or anything like that. It actually is when you start to see what those young people said, the bonding. That's what's occurring when that school actually leaves Waniasa and ends up at Big Splash. And the service that we've been given over those years has been great. And it is very disappointing, given the appreciation and the importance that that facility is for us as a community, to be given this type of situation. I have one question, and it's for Yvette. Could you, is she available? Okay. Hi Yvette, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Not too bad.
That's
First of all, could you enlighten me, and perhaps others, that regulatory authority you're talking about, the legislation that's relevant to that authority, when was that passed?
I'm not sure of the specific date, but I understand it applied from 2023.
23 and we're 26. Okay, thank you. Secondly, and this is it, no more, when was the government first notified of the closure?
That date I can't think in my head.
Okay.
However, there has been, as I think Joe referred to, a range of different regulatory actions that have been taken up until this point. Okay. I understand that everybody wanted that action taken sooner, but even people that we don't like are entitled to due process.
Oh no, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I just sort of, when you say a lease to me, being a private citizen, I think of a real estate lease.
Right.
And if you're not living up to your obligations, you had 3 months. Do you know where I'm going with this one?
Yes,
okay.
But you don't get taken to the federal court.
Thank you.
Question up the back here.
Hello, my name's Kate. I live across the road from this derelict facility, which breaks my heart because I used to swim there every day. I'm wondering what, if anything, is in place to manage the site until any decision or future plan or whatever is put in place. We've got a case of delinquent behaviour, quite frankly, the vandalism and things that's now in our residential area as a result of this derelict space, and I'd be very interested to find out what can be done, because we're in a hiatus between private ownership and government potential ownership. Who's responsible for keeping it and looking after it?
Thanks, and I'm sorry you have to live with that opposite your home. It really is quite distressing. It's unsafe, as you say, and a lot of people are entering the site illegally. It is up to the owner of the site to keep the place safe, and I know they're not doing that, and we know they're not doing that. The owner, the site is now sitting with the banks, if I can just use a short term, right? And I understand that ACT lawyers have been in touch with the banks about the site. It is one of those situations where we're having trouble getting in touch with the proponents to make sure that they're keeping the site safe. But it's sitting with Access Canberra really to keep that site safe. I'm hearing what you're telling me today. Tara is as well, and so we'll make sure we check in again on the site. It is continuously being repaired and repaired and repaired. But, this guy, I won't say anything more. I think everybody knows.
We do have a couple more speakers to go. I think we can take one more question and then we'll move on to our last two set of speakers.
Hello, my name's Anne Widdop and I represent Canberra Diving Academy. I'm fighting to get a dive pool put in the Commonwealth Park Aquatic Centre. I can't understand why the government can't build a 50-metre pool and a 5-metre deep dive pool for $138 million in Commonwealth Park. So my main comment is that if we can put a dive pool into the Commonwealth Park in that funding, then that allows more money to be put into refurbishing the Big Splash and helping towards the Phillip Pool. My question was going to be, if we don't get Commonwealth Park, is there an option to putting the pool at Big Splash? But unfortunately, I think my answer is going to be possibly, maybe. So thank you.
I think you're right. It is a possibly, maybe, but the Big Splash site probably isn't big enough to take a dive pool in addition to all the other things that are there right now, and potentially other opportunities there. But I'm happy to continue to work with the dive pool community on the aquatic strategy and making sure that your needs are addressed as well. I know it's important to you and you feel like you haven't been listened to. I hear that.
And with that, we will thank our keynote speakers, David Pocock, Lachlan Butler and Caroline Luke Everett for their time. And it's important that we hear from other sections of the community. So we are going to hear from Alena Sarri. Oh, I've stuffed that up, haven't I? Alena Sarri, who my beautiful daughter goes for her swimming lessons. And we are going to hear from Sean Hogan from SCQ Group as well. But first, let's hear from Alena Sarri. Butchered it again, didn't I?
No, that's all right, doesn't matter. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name's Alena Sarri, owner-operator of Aquatots Swim Schools. Aquatots currently teaches over 7,300 children locally, and that's weekly across 4 ACT locations. And we've proudly been serving the community for 24 years now. Aquatots is deeply embedded in the Canberra aquatic landscape, and we see firsthand both the strengths and the growing gaps in our region's waters infrastructure. It's interesting that our family has come full circle on this issue. My father's start in aquatics was building and managing the original Macquarie Pool slides. And our family operated the Macquarie Pool for approximately 8 years in the 1980s. The slides and tower were fabricated locally, so in Fyshwick. They were built quickly and were widely celebrated at the time. So lots of different news articles, and you can see from one of those news articles, it serviced a 92-year-old, right down to a 1-year-old. Because of its history, it has been absolutely devastating to watch this site decline over the years due to prolonged neglect. Why this site matters? This site must be preserved as a space for the wider community. With the loss of the outdoor pools and water slide park at Macquarie and the upcoming closure of Civic Pool, Canberra is facing a critical gap. Currently, we're missing in the ACT dedicated spaces for older children that are beyond baby play spaces or splash areas, engaging venues for teens, aquatic recreation for young adults, and outdoor space for the older generations to exercise and socialise. While splash pads and 25-metre pools serve an important purpose, they do not meet the needs of these cohorts or the wider community. Recent data reinforces the urgency. According to the 2025-26 drowning report, teens and baby boomers have now overtaken under 4s in fatal drowning rates. Reducing access to appealing aquatic spaces for these age groups does not improve safety outcomes. Beyond safety, we must also consider mental health impacts, physical well-being, loss of outdoor community connection, and reduced opportunities for active recreation. The ACT already has limited usable outdoor aquatic spaces, and a further reduction will have long-term community consequences. There has also been considerable discussion online questioning whether Macquarie Pool can be viable. The answer is yes. With the right model and people in there that are willing to make it a success, with the right driver, it can work. Melbourne and Sydney operate a successful outdoor wave pool year-round, with climates much like ours in the ACT. Seasonal community engagement and events organised and executed in peak times, ensuring the winter season costs are offset. Maximising on summer use, which has not been apparent since my family sold. I know the Watkins are in the room, that's no dig at you guys. I mean, it has been doing really well, but when I walked into the cafe, they still had the same brown square tiles that we put in there in the 80s. Working with local schools and other groups to engage the community during the summer season. In Iceland, outdoor aquatic facilities operate even in 4-degree conditions, with a strong community participation. As you could see from some of those photos, we went to a conference in Iceland. That's my family in the water park, 4 degrees in Iceland, and they loved it. Cold water swimming is rapidly growing in popularity. We have the weather, we may as well add the pool. Events like winter solstice and sauna plunge at the lake demonstrate a demand for something going in that direction. There is no practical reason the 50-metre pool could not operate year-round. There are so many possibilities for health, well-being and recreation. To also offset seasonal variability, we would strongly support an indoor Aquatots centre, which would include year-round learn to swim programs and a year-round hydrotherapy and wellness programs. This creates a balanced, financially resilient aquatic hub. The ACT has already experienced severe aquatic space pressure. For example, the Canberra Kraken's under-14 boys and girls water polo teams currently have no local training space. They've been forced to actually secure space in Wagga. So they're driving over to Wagga to train before the Australian Youth Championships in Brisbane, which I think is outrageous that the National Capital can't support these young athletes in our own state. As swim educators at Aquatots, we don't just teach water safety, we foster a lifelong love of aquatic activity. Those pathways are now at risk or are already non-existent. Current and emerging gaps in the ACT include the Canberra Browley Nippers are going to need alternative venues when Civic closes. Water polo teams will be losing training capacity. Underwater rugby, under pressure and at risk. Artistic swimming, essentially non-existent for years due to lack of appropriate pool space. Potential loss of all diving pathways in Canberra. It's difficult to understand how other states and territories are expanding aquatic opportunity while ACT is contracting. Which brings me to the key question raised repeatedly is, can the pools and slides be fixed, and at what cost? The honest answer, a structural engineer assessment is required. No one can responsibly estimate costs until this occurs. However, and this is critical, the bones are there. Okay, even if we do need to rebuild, the space is there for it. We have a vision for the future. There's no reason why this site cannot become the ACT's premier aquatic recreation hub, a dedicated water sports precinct, a year-round community wellness destination with opportunities that include restoration of the water park, addition of a deep dive pool, and I honestly think there's room for that, indoor learn to swim and hydro facilities, multi-sport aquatic pathways, spaces designed specifically for teens and young adults, splash play area for families and young children, a community-based and focused venue for all to enjoy. In closing, the land is there. The community need is clear. The participation demand already exists. Now's the time to listen to the community, support our young athletes, and protect aquatic access for Canberra's future.
Thank you very much, Alena Sarri. I kind of want to go to Iceland now. Does anyone else want to go? Okay, we have one more speaker and then you're going to hear from Amelia again and we're going to wrap things up in a little while. So the next speaker is from SQC Group Architects, and I just want to make sure I get this right. His name is Sean Hogan. Please welcome Sean.
Thank you. Cool. Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank Big Splash. So is that? There we go. Save Big Splash for inviting us to present our ideas, and thanks to everyone for coming today. To start, a bit about who we are and why we wanted to join in on this discussion. SQC Group is a Canberra practice based in Bruce. We've been operating for about 31 years. We provide architecture, interiors, access and heritage services. We work mainly in community learning and aged care sectors. We take on projects where we think we can contribute to placemaking and community activation. I've lived in Canberra for almost 40 years, coming here when I was a kid. I remember in the 80s going to Big Splash as a child for a birthday party, and then many years later taking my own kids. The value of this place isn't how often you visit. It's the unique experiences that those visits create. And regarding the slides, and I know a lot of people have spoken about the slides today, without those, the nearest equivalent slide is a 2-hour car journey. We decided to put our hat in the ring late last year. At the time, it seemed to us that a multi-unit developer beneficiary outcome was most likely on the cards. We wanted to see if we could explore if all the facilities on site, whether existing or new, could be retained. We also wanted to explore what complementary uses could be added to imagine this place as a precinct. But those are just design motivations. Our personal motivations go deeper than design. Our connection to Canberra is tied to its places and how they make us feel. When I took my kids to Big Splash a few years ago, I felt connected to where and who I was and to time. I saw my kids enjoying the same slides that I enjoyed, sitting under the same trees that I sat under. I felt myself through their eyes. Canberra is my history, and I imagine it's your history too. Retaining places that carry this shared history is very important to me and to SQC Group. Big Splash isn't a heritage listed in the legal sense, but it has a heritage of experience with Canberrans. We want to keep this place, or keep parts of it, reimagined to its heritage experience. It's also important to note that we're not developers and we're not working for any developers. We're just ideas people. Now to the ideas. Oh, cool. Already worked out. Could we go back one just to the existing site? Cool. So we start with the existing site, as everyone knows. There's a current amenities and entry building facing the surface car park. And as we know, that the site is populated by a series of pools and water play facilities grouped around a landscape space. When operational, the landscape spaces are filled with families seeking shade, people picnicking and gathering. In summer, the pools and the spaces work well. In winter, when the pool is closed, the entire 13,000 square metre site is not operational. We see this as a missed opportunity for the community, and our work focuses on whether we could rearrange the facilities for a flexible layout that can work in both winter and summer configuration. Contextually, to us, the site reads as like it's the centre of a knot surrounded by community, sports and public facilities. This contextual idea gives us suggestions about what the site could be. We imagine the site as a community, aquatic, sports and health precinct. Our master plan explores visually and physically linking all the surrounding uses. First, we start by creating a series of paths through and around the site, and the paths are shown as the red lines on the plan that this also breaks the site up into a series of spaces that we can logically populate. Secondly, and most importantly, however, we resited a 50-metre pool. To do this, we relocate the landscape space so it is no longer surrounded by the aquatic facilities. The landscape space now sits next to the aquatic facilities, but its relocation still allows for all the existing trees to remain. We then imagine that the 50-metre pool within an enclosed structure works as an indoor pool in winter with operable walls that transform it into a pavilion in summer. When the pavilion is open, people can connect to the main landscape space and from the pools and play areas or vice versa. When the pavilion is closed in winter, the landscape space returns as public space. We also think that large community sites like this need complementary uses to be sustainable. This is evidenced by the numerous successful arts precincts around Australia. We propose 2 lines of health, community and commercial type buildings along and outside the pedestrian corridors. And if we could just go back to and they're the ones in yellow. We size these buildings to house uses such as a hydrotherapy pool, yoga, rehabilitation studios, wellness facilities, and even a ground level childcare. These uses turn the ground plane into a health, sport and wellness precinct. At the upper levels, we propose community, non-for-profit or even community-oriented business suites. These uses means that there is someone always on site, even on cold days, during office hours or in the evenings. Placing them alongside the pathways creates eyes on the street, increasing public safety and making the place feel inviting. We also like the idea of connecting to the sports oval to the north, with the building fronting the oval connected to tiered public seating. We like the ideas of blending different uses together. We think at this stage of the discussion or the project, this challenge is primarily a design challenge. If the site is developed, we all need to make sure that we avoid a mismatch of unplanned uses or ill-considered buildings. We don't want to just add a use that degrades from the site's potential. A long-term strategy or vision is essential, and I hope that our work could be the starting point to this discussion. Based on what I remember about this place and the character of this place, is that the site should feel like a collection of landscape and aquatic facilities arranged to enable year-round activation. Surrounding complementary facilities are background elements. This is what our work aims to achieve, and we look forward to continue to work on this idea. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Sean. And we are running out of time, but we do have time for a couple of quick questions for our specialist speakers. We've got one in the middle here. If the guys want to, Gemma, if you want to, this guy first. Yep.
I've been waiting for ages.
Yes, a southerner here. Have been with my kids to Big Splash and thoroughly enjoyed it, and their cousins and friends that visit from interstate who enjoyed those times. My question for Yvette Berry is as well on the now and tomorrow. Is the regulatory action that's been undertaken, is it appellable still? And will what does Yvette Berry think is going to be possible that at the last hour they say, I'm going to appeal this regulatory action taken by Access Canberra?
Thank you. And look, that's a real risk. And that's why Access Canberra and the Regulatory Authority are taking the time to get it right, to work through all the legal advice, to get it as right as we possibly can so that any litigation would be very limited. But it is a risk, and I don't think we can deny that that could happen. We're just trying to avoid it as much as we can.
Ladies and gentlemen, we actually do have another one of the previous owners of Big Splash here, Ron Watkins, and he's asked to say a couple of words. So, guys, we just keep it very brief. We are running over time, so 2 minutes, please.
I'll talk in front of my father. Look, a couple of things. One, we never thought it's my wife, of course, good timing. Look, we never thought we'd be sitting here after moving away after running the facility for 30 years. You know, we've met hundreds and thousands of people from Canberra. Yeah, well, I said we never thought we'd be sitting here after, you know, running the place for 30 years. 4 years later, the facility's not there. We never thought that could possibly happen. I'm as shocked as much as my father. We've watched what's been happening, and we've come tonight because we've just offering our support to the community and what we can do. 30 years experience running it. We've consulted over the world, but water parks all around the world, and we haven't had the opportunity to speak to any of the government at this point to be able to offer our views. What I'm seeing in regards to park redevelopment, we've been through that over 30 years, 20 or 30 times. We have so much information about the community, what they want. This thing's spot on. People tell us when they come in, we want more slides, we want this, we want that. We can offer that, and we would absolutely do it. The question that I want to put to the Minister is, if there's been any consideration, or are you able at this point to go in and have a look at Big Splash and determine whether we can actually open it? 30 years of experience we can offer. We can walk in there and we can turn around and tell you pretty quickly, all the current owners, could we open it? One of the outcomes for the community would be, sure, it needs to be fixed up at some point, and all these things are good. You know, there's things missing out of here, is a water park or not? What's the real community group? But you know, we could offer coming in and having a look at that and say, we reckon it can be opened. This is a time frame. This is what we think it can last going forward. Engineering reports and all that's right. We're the only one that can do it, and we're happy to do it in our own time with a bit of support from the government. We'd also love to sit down and talk to all of you. There's been a lot of discussions going on. I can see some great stuff happening. We're about the community. I've always been about the community. 100,000 people coming in a year, like that's a quarter of Canberra. We know most of them. We still know most of them already.
Do you know Dino?
Yeah, so I think Ron kicked him off the slide a few times for standing up and running through. I mean, there's a lot we can say, a lot we can offer. We haven't had a chance to talk to anyone because, you know, Dad's been unwell. We've been looking at it, but I think now we can offer so much, and we're happy to do it. You know, we want a facility there. We know, my gut feel is there is a way to open it up for a period. That'll give some time to give all these discussions about what it looks like and what happens. The Minister might be able to find some money between that time as well to be able to help, or David might be able to find some money from the federal government. And we have a whole range of designs and things that we've put. We even at one point wanted to put a big splash. You know, we built a whole new water park at one point, which we've got that as well. But that depends on where things go. But yeah, that's the offer. If you can facilitate someone to get and have a look at it, and you want to know from a government perspective, we're happy to help with do that. And we're probably the only one because we know every nut and bolt in that place after 30 years.
Thank you. Welcome the offer, and very happy to meet and talk with you. And as I said, you know, we're going through this process now, but once that's completed, you know, no options are off the table. So very happy to talk with you.
I should add that we've got these guys that you can ask questions to as well. Yeah.
I'll be 1 minute. I have a question. And it's for the Sarri family, and I very much have only just met you in the last 2 or 3 years, when I knew your reputation back when I was a little kid, when you used to let our very elderly disabled neighbour in for free. And that's always stayed with me about the legendary family that you are and the compassionate you are, and how nice you've been to my daughter and with her abilities has really meant a lot to me. So I ask you guys, while you're on the stage, to put you on the spot, and Andrew Sarri, who built the original slides, do you guys want to work with the government? Do you want to take over Big Splash and run it? Because I'm saying I want you to. Do you want to?
We're happy to talk to everyone and anyone, and I know that there's a process that has to play out before anything can go ahead anyway. But I'm always an optimist, so I'd be happy to. Yeah, answer the case. I'd probably fall over first, but then I'd go, right, what's next? And we would get going. Oh yeah, so 3 generations of Sarris here to kind of support, hopefully, the revamping, reopening of Big Splash. Yeah, I'll tie in my daughter for the next year.
Thank you very much. Great question. And can we thank Alena and Sean, please? Now, we are coming towards the end, but we also wanted to give you people, you've heard a lot of people speaking tonight, especially me, and we wanted to give you the opportunity to speak to each other and actually share some ideas. So I'm going to hand back over to Amelia, who's going to run a very short exercise, and then we'll wrap up.
Awesome. First of all, another huge thank you to our speakers and to all of you guys for attending, because this wouldn't be possible without all of you. So. Now, you may have noticed on all of your table there are some large pieces of paper and some pens and texters. And because this is such a community-based issue, it's really important that we do hear from all of you as well. So we'll take 5 minutes to have those discussions with the people on your table. Draw, write, express creatively, however you would like. Just draw your visions for Big Splash and have those conversations with each other.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are just going to run for another 5 minutes. So if you could, I know there are small kids and things like that. If you could hang around for another couple of minutes so we can wrap up properly, that'd be great. Thank you. We're also going to come around with the quiz question answers.
All right, guys, we're nearing the end. There we go. If you could all just take a seat, that would be wonderful. Okay, guys, thank you so much for taking part in that. We all really appreciate it. And a huge thank you again for taking the time to attend this meeting. Your support has been absolutely incredible. If we leave those papers on your table, we will come and collect those. And I guess if you haven't signed the petition already, please sign it and share it. It would be much appreciated. And keep an eye out on our socials on Facebook and Instagram at Save Big Splash for any further updates, because we really look forward to hearing from you all in the future. Thanks again for coming.
Or can I do a hard copy?